Okay, so
Lonely, but not when you hold me. Your beauty weighs on me. This feeling's too good.
so I have been obsessed with neuron transmitters and neuron modulators. Um, to just briefly go over it, and then I'm going to go make a grilled cheese sandwich because I'm starving, but I like to make it with a waffle maker because it's just more fun. Something about the shape of waffles is just fun. Anyway, but that's what I'm going to talk about while I am making that grilled cheese sandwich. But to explain and just kind of get us on the same page, I also made a PDF, a free PDF. It's the first, it's in my link tree if you want to check it out. Neurotransmitters. The idea that I really started looking into this was the separation between mind and body. How our mind can have one idea and our body can act in one way, but at the end of the day, this material realm is the thing that's always going to trump any thoughts, because it's this is what this world is for. Matter, our ego will sometimes always win when it comes to this illusional reality. That's essentially the illusion where we're mixed in and influenced heavily by these material aspects. So our body itself, can influence us to make an action that is not in alignment with, let's say, the new us that we want to be, the growth, the new energy, the new logic and new mindsets, new self-confidence, energy that we want to be in. If we don't work through the body, and this is what I've been talking about in my last video where I was saying how you just as much as you work in the mind, you have to work in the body. Okay, so science, neuroscience, if we look at neurotransmitters, I'm just going to describe what they are, and then we're just going to keep on. Neurotransmitters released from the neuron in the brain a specific message through the synapses, and I'm actually going to put a picture of what the synapses look like. And basically it's a transfer from the top to the bottom, or wherever it is. The presynaptic area receptors, or the presynaptic channels, into the postsynaptic channels, where the energy, the intention, the desire, the whatever is now electrically charged. To me, that's basically consciousness, our ego reaching up to connect to source consciousness, our higher selves, for an answer, and then it clicks, and now we ourselves are now electrically, magnetically charged, and we can then make a decision off of that. But you have to make sure that it's the mind and the body, and this is what I'm going to get deeper into. And then we go down into neuron modulators, which are also the same thing. They transfer energy, but they also not only transfer energy through the brain, but through the body. They control our bodily functions. But the thing about neuron modulators is how they interact with inhibitory receptors, which are, they essentially inhibit energy from the neuron transmitters. So neuron modulators, I've been saying, are like cock blockers, right? Because they basically will be like, whoa, they hold on to any past traumas or any past energies, or they basically take a long time to receive information and pass information, so they last longer. And so with that idea, with that concept, I basically was like, okay, that's why, if the mind is not bound by space and time, that's why it's easy for us to get through things quicker in the mind, and just go on about our business. But with our body is registering the same energy over and over again, to where it also has to be looked at. It needs to be dealt with, because the idea is that if your body is not in alignment with your mind, then you are attracting realities that are chaotic, that are unbalanced, because we have a positive aspect within us and a negative aspect, creating this polarization, which then is sending off energies and also bringing in energies from the universal mind. This is when we start getting into consciousness being the one and only reality, the source. We start tapping into things. People talk about the Akashic records. In science, I believe it's the the microwave radio background. Oh my god, I think I just butchered that. Isaac In the book Stalking the Wild Pendulum, they talk about I'm having a brain fart. Absolute reference background, where the universal mind consciousness is basically holding in all this information. It's all knowledge, and it's knowledge about not only ourselves but knowledge about the world, whatever is going to be. The idea of consciousness is it has all of the reference points of what's happening. It just has to act them out through matter. And so when we're giving off energy from our mind and our body, when we actually consciously work on bringing them into an equilibrium, into a state of center, a place of center, we then can tap into that universal mind, that universal knowledge, and we can funnel it into our vessel, into our mind, and then into our body. That's why I always say life is all about asking the right questions, because once you get a hold of, and I'm going to show you this. Okay, so this is from the book Stalking the Wild Pendulum by Itzhak Bentov. Ben, we could call him. But it's basically our Taurus field is love, will, creation. That's what we are. And so it's a matter of coming to a place of balance with our mind and our body, and being able to be of center before we really start interacting with the world, before we start interacting with these other fields. I think I even wrote that down. After you've created a full circuit within yourself, you can create a normal electromagnetic circulation path, essentially utilizing your own energy field after you've made a full connection. But that connection comes from after connecting the mind and then the body through some type of morning routine, like I made in my last video, because the idea is that consciousness is in evolution. Here. Also, if you see all these extension cords, it's because the electricity in my room is out. I blew it out like couple weeks ago and they haven't come and fixed it yet. But that on a deeper level is speaking to something that's happening in my reality, where essentially it's like bring the light from within you. Like, you find out a way, you show up for yourself. And this is basically how, read the universe, learn about my life. But that's basically what this is expanding in all directions towards our true self as we traverse through space and time, through the space-time dimension. And so this is, if you can see it, it's basically a point in time, but it's got a sequence. It's got a sequence of events. It's lifetime, which is already mapped out, and there's a 11 billion ways we can go depending on our action, but we want to make the action that's in alignment with us, that's going to help us grow, expand. So as we're moving through time, we also should be expanding. We should be always changing, going through these fluctuations up and down. We have to look at ourselves and be like, okay, we're in this moment right here, like the lights are off in my room. That's because I'm in this low moment to where I'm being asked to expand. Now that I've created this foundation for myself, I've learned about myself, I expand by seeking parts of myself, understanding, asking this universal mind. This is a Taurus field Taurus field, the hologram, where there's so many parts inside of this. We are inside the material reality, right? These fields, these red dots that you see, that's the energy that we're giving off. So that dot is us giving off energy as we move through time. That's that same thing here, the same red dots, our body giving off energy. That energy is our energy from our body, from our emotions, from our mental state, our physical state. But then it's also our higher self, our consciousness, that it can send itself out past space and time to connect with that absolute reference background, connect with that higher consciousness, God, the universe, higher self, whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing. We connect to that because within this energy field, outside of ourselves, outside of time, is information about our galaxy. It's information about ourselves. It's any type of information. That's why I called my book Omniscience. Because when you immerse yourself with something, when you pay attention to it, because this is an attention experiment, what just went through my mind? I was going to make a grilled cheese sandwich and make that video, but now here I am deep into it, Once you immerse yourself into it, all other realities fall apart. That's superposition. That's all realities having all wavelengths, the sum of all wavelengths. But when you choose to pay attention to something, like yourself, expand, that is the only reality that can come forward. So then it just becomes a matter of connecting your mind and your body. How can I move through life, traverse through time while staying at an equal center? this is where I want people to start critically thinking and taking the stuff that I'm utilizing, being like, okay, well, if Imani said that I could do this, if this is happening, then look at your life. What are you already doing? Where are you already creating motion where you can just back it by intention, put intention behind it, like I talked about in my last video. Neuron transmitters is information being received from the brain, from the higher self, from the absolute reference background, consciousness, whatever you want to call it. It's some type of energy that comes into the brain, an intention, whatever, something that we manipulate, we mix with, we mess with. As our higher self, as our truest form, we send that energy into the body, the material body, through the mind. So this isn't like the mind just operating by itself. It's the higher self mixing and mingling with the mind by, it's as if I reach up into the atmosphere, the ether, and pull energy into my mind, and I'm like, do something with that. But because the mind and the body itself is its own entity, it has its own influences that can influence the higher self, the aligned choices and actions. That's when we start getting into this ego. So then it becomes a matter of ego and higher self balance, mind and body balance. Because at the end of the day, the soul is going to always be there. I always say the universe works in threes: mind, body, soul, ego, id, superego, which is basically the higher self. But neuron transmitters send energy throughout the brain. They're fast, they're quick. So the mind catches things really quickly. It's also catching things that are outside, connected to our outside stimulus. And it is our job to only take in the information and energy that is in alignment with us. The body is kind of doing the same thing, except it stores energy different. It holds it. It's slower when it comes to change. That's why we have to be aware when we're around people. If we feel a different way, our body is talking to us. It then becomes a matter of the mind connecting to the body, connecting to the soul, being like, you know what? This connection that we both are feeling, it's not in alignment with who we truly are. We gotta go. We gotta dip. Same thing for thought processes, limiting beliefs. Addressing those things, you address a limiting belief in your mind, create some type of action, or put an intention behind an action you're already doing that can then work through that intention from your body as well. Certain parts of you have happened as an inner child. Certain situations have happened as a child that then can get stuck within the body. And even though the mind now is not addressing it, the inner child's mind might have thrown it away, but then the energy within the body now, even though, let's say you're 24 years old, still has the energy and the experiences and the response that body took during that experience within the body. Nothing has ever really happened to me, but I've seen it happen to others, and I've seen how it changes the way that their actions, their movements goes towards certain experiences. And I find that very interesting. And if we could take some new logic or just look at it a little deeper and then bring that to the forefront, then other people will have value in actually making changes, because they recognize where they can pinpoint the connections. They can actually sit. I am constantly personifying it because consciousness is everything to me. The cells in my body make up types of consciousness. They're conscious. I can talk to my body right now. I can talk to my knee. I know that it's composed of lots of different cells. When we start to know about ourselves like this, I don't have my papers or anything. That's a motorcycle, which spiritual meaning of that is individualization. Understanding you as an individual means to connect to you. All parts of you. That's all I kind of want to talk about. I really want this grilled cheese sandwich, and this video took a way different way than I wanted it to be. I'm finishing editing this, and then I'm going to go make that grilled cheese sandwich. It's going to be great, because then I can be done. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Listen. Slowly. Not when you